Okay, and welcome to today's Talmud Chacham edition of the Yoma. We're on Yoma Samach Zayin, Yoma 67. Had a rough day. I went to Yerushalayim today. I recently bought a Shanstein art scroll, Daf Yomi, the small hardcover edition. Every Masech I checked them were all good, except for one, Tamura, upside down. You know, they say Tamura, the yeshiva's joke is that Tamura, you can't exchange a korban one for another. So I have to exchange my Tamura, Ra b'tov, lo tov b'ra. I'm exchanging my Tamura. I don't apply these jokes to real life. I hope you don't either. Anyway, I went there, and on my way, a couple blocks away from the store, Or Chaim, I realized that I had forgotten to bring the Tamura that they sent me, the one that was upside down, and I had nothing to exchange the new Tamura with to get a new Tamura. And I went anyway to the store, see if they'd be nice. They sent me one of the volumes was mistaken; it was upside down. Maybe they'd do me a favor, let me have the good Tamura, and I'd bring them the old Tamura back, the other Tamura back at a different time. The guy says, "What? It's not fair. Why should we trust you?" I said, "Listen, you delivered to me a bad set. You gave me a Gemara that I paid a lot of money for this set, and one of the Gemaras was not correct. It was upside down. I'm asking you a favor. Be nice to me. Give it to me now. I'll bring it later in time." The guy says, "Chutzpah. You're such a chutzpah dick. How could you ask such a thing?" He started yelling at me. In the meantime, everyone's staring at this guy. He's yelling at me, calling me chutzpahdik. And, only in Israel you have service like this. Even if you didn't want to give it to me, at least say, "We're sorry, you didn't get the right one. We'll try to hold it to you. We'll hold one of them on the side." He wouldn't even be willing to hold the new Tamura for me on the side for a couple days, because I can't come back and live in Yerushalayim. Can't come back tomorrow. Friday is a short day. I'll come back on Sunday. It wouldn't hold it for me. He said, "What are you going to do? You're going to go on eBay and write a bad review of me?" I should, right? I should go on eBay and write a bad review of this Or Chaim. The guys there work there, a bunch of whatever. I'm not going to say the word, but you can figure out yourself, fill in the blanks, what these people are like. They're Americans. They should give you a little bit of service, It's an American store. I mean, it's connected with Manny's. Americans shop there. All the seminary students, the yeshiva students, gap year students, they all study there. Just do a little service to me, a little service. Pathetic. Anyway, we'll go today's shir. What exactly is the mitzvah of the Sir LaAzazel? Is the mitzvah, we'll say Alam Shayla, is the mitzvah of Sir LaAzazel the shiluach lamidbar, sending it to the midbar, or is the mitzvah when you throw it off the cliff? Everyone would think it's when you throw it off the cliff, but the Gemara is the mashma not like that. The Gemara says, first the Gemara says, and towards the bottom of Samach Zayin and Aleph, v'nikterei kulei, the Gemara says, the Mishnah says that you're supposed to tie half of the string, the red string, half to the horns of the seer and half to the rock next to it. V'nikterei kulei b'sela. The Gemara asks, why don't you just tie it all to the rock? When the mitzvah b'sari, dil makadim u'malmin, mitzvah daite. Since the mitzvah is b'sari, Rashi says, mitzvah b'sari l'dochvo la'acharov. K'dichsiv al eretz gezeira, davar mizgazer v'yori. He says clearly, the mitzvah was to push it off the cliff, and play in order that it should become, like the Gemara says on Amud Beis, that it should break into pieces, dismember. So we're worried that if he ties it on the rock, he'll forget about throwing it off the cliff. So the Gemara says, "V'nikterei kulei ben karno," to tie it between the horns of the animal, so you'll see whether it becomes white when the animal falls off the cliff. Zimin the gamish le'el reishe v'lava daite. So the Gemara says he might tuck his head under, you might not see it. So that's why you tie half on the horns, half on the rock. Tanaban b'shona yukosh and lashon shel zahuris al pesach ulam b'chutz. So it's mash from this Gemara that the way it is now is that the way it's done, like it says in the Mishnah, the mitzvah is pushing off the cliff. That's what Rashi says. That's what the Gemara says. But the Bryce we're going to see in a second seems to say otherwise. Originally, they didn't tie it between the horns and the rock. They should tie it in the base of Migdash itself. Like remember the Bryce details. First, they did it outside, then they saw it, and people were sad if it didn't turn white. So they did it inside the Ulam. People still saw. So the Bryce continues. So the final takana was to do like our Mishnah says. That was the final takana. Amar of Nachum bar Papa Mishum Lezer Akar B'Yishana Yikshoshin Lashon Shel Zehuris Al Pesach Ulam Yivnim V'Kemen Shigi Esrela Midbar Hayam Malbin V'N Yadu Shenasis Mitzvaso. They would know. One, they would tie it in the base on Mikdash. That's what they originally did, like the Bryce said before. And when the seer would get to the midbar, it doesn't say it would be pushed off the cliff, it would become white, the piece of red wool. The Yadush Nasis also, and no, the mitzvah was done. What mitzvah? Sounds like the mitzvah is the shloach l'tol midbar. Once it gets to the midbar, you send it to the midbar. You did the mitzvah. The mitzvah. Sounds like, I would say, that it sounds like originally the mitzvah, and really the mitzvah midoraisa is shiluach lemidbar. And it was only because the people saw it, if it's shiluach lemidbar, so where are you going to tie the string? You tie in the base of the migdash. So people saw it, so they had to make a takana that they should tie the string near where it went off La'azazel, and they're misaking that it's also mitzvah d'Rabbanan to send it off the cliff. But the real mitzvah though, is shilua. What's my raya to this? I have two rayas to this. One raya is the Gemara says, the Gemara continues after these two dots. It's machlokes whether the ivarim, when the animal dismembers, when you send it off the cliff, are they mutter ba'ana or aser ba'ana? We pass, and the Gemara is maskan. The Gemara is, what's the reason to say it's mutter ba'ana? They'll say ba'midbar. Mandamar asura, and they'll say zera. Zera is a lashon of harshness, where it got pushed off the cliff. Midbar is shiluach lamidbar. And what's the Gemara's maskana? The Gemara's maskana is mistabra k'man damar mutarin l'amar Torah shlach l'takala. It comes out that it's really mutter, and therefore the ikar drasha we follow is bamidbar, which is hefker, which means in the mitzvah, the midbar means it's hefker, like the midbar is hefker. So therefore the ivarim are mutter, and therefore and bamidbar is talking about in the pasuk which says shiluach otola midbar. So you see the mitzvah is the shiluach, and with that we can understand in an acute way. Lomar Torah shlach dakala. Not like Rashi says. Luli divrei Rashi. Rashi says the Torah wouldn't have said shlach dakala. People are going to find the ivarim and they're going to make a mistake. No, Lomar Torah shlach dakala. The Torah wouldn't have said the word shiluach, which is the mitzvah, litakala, in vain. It wouldn't have said the mitzvah of shiluach in vain, because since it said the mitzvah of is shiluach and it's in the midbar next to each other, shiluach and midbar next to each other. So therefore, we know the darshan midbar then mutar and bahana. That's how we darshan out. The Gemara will be saying over here. The second raya I have is we paskin. It's machlokas at the end of the Gemara when the person is matami begadim, when he becomes a person who's the ish iti who pushes it off the cliff, his begadim become tummy. So when does begadim become tummy? So it's a machlokas. Is it when he goes to the midbar, when he leaves Yerushalayim, or is it when he sends it off the cliff? And we paskin in the Mishnah, the Rambam paskins, the Amos Simon Tamim Begadim in the Mishnah on Simon Zayim and Aleph. We paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, who says once he leaves Chomas Yerushalayim, he goes to the midbar. That is the mitzvah of Azazel. And to throw one other nice idea over here, and the Gemara says that a kol sukkah v'sukkah, they would say Harei Mazon Harei Mayim. They would offer food and drink to the people who were taking the ishiti. Now, if the mitzvah is the whole way, is to send it the whole way until it throws it off the cliff, so the ishiti is doing the mitzvah the whole time. So he's doing the mitzvah the whole time. So therefore, it's like the Gemara said before, iti afilu b'Shabbos, and when like the Gemara says moado is the matir karam pesach, you're allowed to shecht on Shabbos, you're allowed to shecht with tuma, iti also Shabbos and tuma. It would probably be paskin tuma hutra b'sibor, and l'char Shabbos be hutra, and hutra means that you don't have to search for other ways. You could just do it the direct way, and don't search for another way. So If that's true, so then the whole way would be hutra, and why is only mazon umayim? It should be all the delicacies. You don't have to give basic nourishment, mazon umayim, water. They can give any fancy drinks, wines, whatever, hutra b'tzibur. But if you say that really you're telling me the rabbanon, the pushing off the gzeira, and like Rashi quotes davar mizgazer v'yori, that's what you do with the pasuk of gzeira, like the Gemara says. That's only an asmachta. It's not really the drasha midah, right? It's the drasha d'Rabbanan. That's what the Gemara says. They only offered a mayim mazon she'eno doim mishayish lo pas b'sal mishayin lo pas b'sal. Like I explained in Daf Yud Ches, not the way some of the Mefarshim explain that pas b'salo. There's sweet things and there's staple foods. You give him the staple foods. You offer him the staple foods and not the sweet foods, because the staple foods is the chuya and the sweet foods is hutra, and this is only the chuya once he's already going to the sukkahs. He already is mekayim the mitzvah midorais. It's only the rabbanan, and that's a mitzvah the chuya, which is a mitzvah the rabbanan, to bring it to the cliff and send it off. I hope you enjoyed the shir. Please like my shiurim, like my videos, and subscribe. And see you on Lang. Have a good night.